everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jordan, and today I'm going to be doing something a little different, a little new for my channel. I'm going to be reacting to the top highest rated books that I've read. Before I get started, you may either recognize this background or not recognize it based on how long you've been watching me, but I used to film in front of this wall all the time. This used to be my office and I used to work from home from in here, and so that's why it has my bookshelves. It has since been transformed into my 18-month-old daughter's bedroom, so that's why you now see toys and kids books and things on the bottom, but I leave my books in here because that's where the shelves are built and that's where it makes sense. But I wanted to come back and film in here. I love the yellow wall and I love the look of my bookshelves, so I want to show them off. So how this video is going to work is I am just going to straight up react. I'm going to go onto Goodreads, I'm going to go to the shelf of all the books that I've ever read, I'm going to sort them by average rating, and we're going to see if I agree with the books that have the highest ratings. Did I also rate them highly, or what's the deal? So I'm going to go ahead and screen record actually, and then I will pop that up right next to me here. And now we're going. So I'm going to open up Goodreads. Gonna go to my books, going to go to all of my read books. I do keep track of all of the books that I read in Goodreads, and I've tried to put in all the books that I know that I've read as an adult. I should have a few years worth of books here to pull from. So we're going to sort by average rating, and we'll see what comes up. Loading. Okay, so top to bottom. So the first two books, actually the first three books, I actually did not do predictions, but what I would have predicted are some classics are probably on here as highest read, and I would also predict that brand new books are probably up there before too many people have reviewed them. I didn't consider arcs or books that I was sent for review from authors that maybe don't have a lot of readership, but that's what's coming up. So the first two books for sure are actually written by people that I know. So this first book, Through a Daughter's Eyes, is written by someone that I went to high school with. She's a few years older than me, but she lost her dad from cancer, and this is kind of her story of her family finding that out and living with that, and then once he passed, how they dealt with it. So because I have a personal connection with this book, I did rate it 5 stars, and because I know the author, but the book only has 10 ratings in Goodreads, so I assume that that's a lot of, you know, people like me who know the author and who want to support her. Similarly, this Guide and Grow book is a book I was sent by the author. This is a guidebook basically to a baby's first year of life with a lot of tips. I found it helpful, but I was also sent it as kind of a guinea pig and to help send feedback back to the author so that she could tweak the book a little bit before it was published. This only has 3 ratings. I'm a Rock Star. This is one that I was sent for review. I don't know the author personally, but I actually really hated this book. I thought it was not well written, and I thought it was really cliche, generic advice. So as you can see, I rated it 1 star. Only has 134 ratings on Goodreads. Next one is Swapping Purples for Yellows, another arc that I read, only 13 ratings. I thought it was good, not great, 4 stars. I don't have a lot to say about it. It was a contemporary book that I honestly don't remember a whole lot about. But now we're getting into the actually traditionally published books that have a lot of ratings in Goodreads. So the first one that I see is Project Hail Mary by Angie Weir. This is a pretty recent release. I picked this book up as part of Book of the Month and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars, so I totally agree with this high rating. It has 71,000 ratings on Goodreads and a 4.56 average, which is very high and very well deserved if I do say so myself. So I would recommend you pick up this book if you are interested in science fiction at all. Next we've got Becoming by Michelle Obama. If I looked at my bookshelves pretty hard, I probably could have predicted that this was going to be up here, but this is her memoir. I'm sure many of you, most of you, if not all of you, have read this book. It has 724,000 ratings, so like 10 times as many as Project Hail Mary, and it has a 4.51 average, which is very high for Goodreads, and again, super well deserved. I rated it 5 stars. Next couple books, we've got The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas and So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma Oluo. The Hate U Give is a contemporary book about this black girl named Star who is in the car when her good friend Khalil is shot by a police officer. And it's about the aftermath of that. This book is extremely relevant to our times today. If you have not picked it up, the praise is incredibly well deserved. 4.51 average rating, 611,000 ratings in total. I gave it 5 stars. So far, I am very in line with the average ratings of these books, which is kind of reassuring, I guess. So You Want to Talk About Race, similarly, is a nonfiction book about talking about race, just like it says. It talks about systemic racism and how all of us have implicit biases and contribute to racism in ways that we don't even realize. And so it kind of talks about how we can dismantle that. And I thought it was a very approachable, easy to understand book for such a difficult and complex topic. I found it very easy to digest, and there were actionable steps in it, which I found really helpful. And so I highly recommend it. I would like to reread this book in the near future as well, because it was so helpful, but because it's so important. So I gave it 5 stars, has an average rating of 4.5. Where the Crawdads Sing. I would have thought this would be on this list probably closer to when it released, but I'm actually a little bit surprised to see that it has stayed with such a high rating. It still has a 4.46 average rating and over 1 million ratings on Goodreads. So clearly it's a popular book. It's a historical fiction about this girl named Kaya who grows up pretty much on her own out in this marsh area in a town. She's an outcast, she's not educated, and it's about her life. I know that there are people I have met and talked to who don't like this book, and I understand it, but I loved it. I gave it 5 stars, and what I kind of say about this book is that it made me, an indoorsy person, appreciate the outdoors, which I think is a pretty good feat because I'm not naturally like a naturey person. I don't appreciate wildlife, plants, and animals to its fullest, but this character does, and her love and passion for those things really come out of the page and make you appreciate it. So if you're one of the few people who hasn't picked this up yet and that sounds somewhat interesting to you, I would pick it up, or I would recommend picking it up. Let's see, I don't know how many more to do. I didn't pick out like a number I'm gonna do or anything, but we'll keep going. Next one is Dear Justice by Nick Stone. This is the sequel to Dear Martin. This is kind of a similar premise to The Hate U Give. It's about young Black teenagers dealing with racism. The first book in this series is about a boy who writes to Martin Luther King Jr. in like his journal or whatever to help him work through issues and things like that. And this second book, Dear Justice, is someone writing to that main character whose name was Justice to do kind of the same thing. Hard-hitting, emotional. I gave it 4 stars, as you can see. Concrete Rose is actually the prequel to The Hate U Give, so not surprised to see that, because I would assume anyone who's picking up Concrete Rose probably also loved The Hate U Give, so they're probably gonna like this one too, as did I. Gave it 5 stars. Let's see, should I start rapid firing them now and get down to maybe ones that I disagree with? Thunderhead is in the Arc of the Scythe series. It's a dystopian series. Loved it. Gave it 4 stars. Has an average of 4.44. Ace of Spades is a new release. It's about these 2 teenage Black kids who are the only Black students at their high school. They start getting these black male threatening type letters and have to figure out what's going on. Super hyped right now, and for good reason. The Black Flamingo is about a Black gay student kind of coming to terms with his own sexuality, and he discovers drag and finds his identity through that. It's great. 4 stars. Some very hyped books: 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, It Ends With Us, The Martian, all well worth their praise. I gave them all 5 stars. I guess the first somewhat controversial or opposite opinion I have is King and the Dragonflies by Case and Callender. This is a middle grade novel about this young boy whose brother dies and he believes that he has turned into a dragonfly. I thought this was just okay. It didn't really hit me or impact me, I think, in the way that it was trying to, or that it does hit some other people, so I only gave it 3 stars. That's not to say I hated it or even disliked it in any way. It just wasn't the amazing, life-changing book that I was kind of hoping and expecting it would be. So 3 stars compared to its average rating of 4.38. Let's see, you can keep reading. I want to keep scrolling to see if I have any unpopular opinions here coming up. Aristotle and Dante Discover the Universe. I would say similarly to King and the Dragonflies, a lot of people really love and connect with this book, and I just didn't. But it really doesn't look like I have anything less than a 3 star for all of these super popular books. So not until we get down to like The Hobbit and To Kill a Mockingbird, a couple classics that I was saying I was expecting to be much higher on this list. I'm seeing them down at like the 4.28 average rating range. Classics in general, not really my thing, but only 3 stars. So I think that's, I guess, where I'm gonna stop it here. I was kind of hoping this would be a little bit more interesting. I don't know. I guess my overall conclusion is that books with the highest ratings on Goodreads, I think, are well worth their ratings and well worth the hype. So let me know if you have read any of the books that I talked about, if you disagree, and if you did not like or you DNF'd any of the most highly rated books. I would love to know. I would love to know why. I do also plan to do this video for the lowest rated books to see if I consider any of them underrated, and I have rated any of them, you know, really high, even though they have a low average rating on Goodreads. We'll find out. But with that, I don't have anything else to share, so thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.